Hello everyone, so this is going to be quite quick because this is really just a video about a short story. But it's the first delve back into Fritz Leiber's Swords series. So I've raved about them a few times, and I have said, when I have been mentioning them recently, when I did a special video just about them, I said that I wanted to reread them. So these were quite important books for me when I was a teenager. So one of the first things I read in fantasy, and obviously I've read a lot of fantasy over the years and I love fantasy, but this was one of the first things I read. So I wanted to reread it, and I've got all the books again, and Swords and Deviltry is the first one. It says, look, book 1 of the Sword series, and here you've got Fafhrd and Grey Mouser, the two protagonists of the series. And this first book, Swords and Deviltry, is 3 stories. And I did remember that the first story is about Fafhrd, the second story is about the Grey Mouser, and the third story is quite a famous story where they meet. And obviously, going on from there, all the other books, they're together. So this is like an introductory story about Fafhrd, who comes from the mountains. He's a barbarian, and he has a barbarian lifestyle. Lives in a clan of men that are at war with women in this sort of snow kingdom, and his mother is quite an important witch character called Moor. And basically the introduction of Fafhrd is an introduction of quite an innocent character, someone with a good heart, someone who's quite young, who's trying to discover lots about civilization and about how people live, and just curious about a world that he doesn't know. And also there's a sense that he's discovering sexuality as well. And basically he's set someone up as a partner, Mara, and she is expecting him to be a faithful husband because she's pregnant. And her role in the story is definitely of something or someone that could pull him back to the life that he's grown up with, but he doesn't. But he's got this curiosity and he wants to go away from this life, and he wants to discover new things, and he wants to grow as a person. And he witnesses a very sexy dance from a whore, basically, called Valana, and that is like the springboard for the whole story, really, and where it goes from there, because he's intrigued by Valana, and then he speaks to her, and he's completely besotted by her. It's kind of a story about lust as much as anything else. And to be fair, I think I know why I quite liked it as a teenager, with this sexy dance and all that. It reminded me this time of, I don't know whether it was an influence. Somebody might be able to tell me if they know whether or not it definitely was an influence. But when I was reading it this time, it reminded me of Helen Mirren's dance in Excalibur. And I wondered if they put that in the story because they were kind of trying to emulate what's happening in this story. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the general plot. I haven't given you too many spoilers because that's just how the plot's set up at the beginning. And you discover what he's like as a character, and you get a really good sense of the world building, and you also get some really interesting and thrilling action sequences. It's about 90 pages, I think it is literally 90 pages long. So it's not huge, but there's enough there to have that kind of development in it, and you do get to know the characters. I don't know how people would feel about the portrayal of women, because you've got this sort of sexy dancer that's basically used by everybody in the male part of the characters in the book. So she's got this sort of professional status in the story, but she's painted as quite an intelligent sensitive and mature character. That is true, but she's definitely being used by the whims of the men. The Mara character is definitely like almost like a nagging wife kind of character, but clearly you'd have more sympathy for her because it's not just that, because she's worried because she's got a baby on the way, and then you've got this setup of this villain, which is his mother. So I don't really know whether I have a different lens than a woman reading it, but I did find it. I thought it was okay the way it did that. It didn't feel too old fashioned. I was aware at the beginning when it was talking about Vlana and introducing her that maybe this was going to get really sexist, but I didn't feel like it was that sexist. But again, my radar might be different to some other people's radars. So yeah, I like the way it's written. I am really more excited than I was when I said I wanted to read these books again, because I did enjoy this first story. And the second story, the one about Grey Mouser, is a lot shorter, and then you got this sort of climax at the end of the book where they meet together. And that is a famous story called Ill Met in Lankmar, and a lot of stories are set in Lankmar. Lankmar's only been mentioned briefly when he excitedly says at the end, I won't spoil anything, but he lists a bunch of places he wants to visit and discover, and one of them is Lankmar. And obviously when you read that, if you know what's happening or you remember what's happening, you think, yes, a little foreshadowing of him discovering Grey Mouser and going to Lankmar. But anyway, so yeah, it was a positive experience reading it again. It's only one story out of the three, but what I might do is read more before I say another thing about this series. But I wanted to sort of check in with my first impressions of my reread, because it's been a while, and I do like the way it's written. So yeah, Fritz Leiber, Fafnir and Grey Mouser, they may remain favourite characters. That would be nice. Thanks for watching. Bye.